Hello everybody and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Hoping you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now this week we got a pretty light video for you guys. I think we'll have 3 first appearances, 2 honorable mentions, so only 5 titles on to go through, but there's definitely some books there to consider for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week, weekending November 7th, 2025. First up from DC Comics, DC KO Night Fight number 1. This features the first team appearance of the Batmen of the Future. Now, like we always tell you guys about the DC Comics, the first appearances are definitely going to be a little more speculative than the first appearances in the Marvel Comics. You know, Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for the small screen and big screen. It's definitely a little easier for them to get the characters from the modern comics onto the screen, get a lot more fan and collector interest in those characters right away. With DC Comics, they really have to rely on word of mouth. And if word of these characters does spread, a lot of collector interest develops with these characters. You know, these books are definitely going to be important in the future. Now, if these teams or characters aren't really all that interesting to fans and collectors, then these books aren't really going to go anywhere. With all that being said, though, this here does feature the first team appearance of this Batman of the Future. And if you are going to speculate on first appearances in the DC Comics, definitely a good idea to pick up versions of Batman or this particular team here, these Batmen of the Future. You know, because Batman definitely the most popular and most heavily collected character for DC Comics. So anytime they introduce a new version of Batman, or in this particular case, the first team appearance of Batmen, then this is one you may want to pick up. Like I said, definitely going to be a little more speculative, but you know, the first team appearance of the Batman of the Future may be worth picking up. For $3 or $4 here, you could be sitting on a huge winner if this goes big. If it goes nowhere, you're out a couple dollars. In my opinion, great spec. Pick this up for a spec if you can. Next up from Marvel Comics, Amazing Spider-Man number 15. This features the first appearance of Glitch. Now, pretty much the exact opposite of what I said for the DC Comics goes for the first appearances in the Marvel Comics. You know, Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for a small screen and big screen. If they bring these characters from the comics onto the screen, you can bet collectors are going to race back to the secondary market to try to find the first appearances. This here is also the Amazing Spider-Man title series. This here is the tentpole series for the Spider-Man franchise. And you know, Spider-Man, the most heavily collected and most popular franchise for Marvel Comics. So you definitely don't want to miss out on first appearances in this particular title series. Or for that matter, across any of the Spider-Man titles. You know, the Spider-Man universe alone, if they introduce a character into that universe, these are definitely books you want to pick up. This here, like I said, is the tentpole series for the Spider-Man franchise, and this issue does feature the first appearance of this new character, Glitch. So in my opinion, this here's a no-brainer. This is one you definitely want to pick up and add to your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And finally from Marvel Comics, Echo Seeker of Truth number 1. This features the first team appearance of the Wisteria Meadows cult. Now, like I always tell you guys, typically a good idea to pick up the first appearance of new characters or new teams in Marvel Comics. You know, like I just mentioned a moment ago, Marvel Disney is still trying out a ton of media for small screen and big screen. If they bring these characters onto the screen, you could definitely expect collectors will race back to secondary market to find these first appearances. With that being said, though, this here is the Echo series. You know, Echo, the streaming series on Disney Plus, was definitely not highly received with fans and collectors, so that definitely damaged the brand or the character a little bit. So the fact that they're making this Echo Seeker of Truth, this is kind of a continuation of that series or a spin-off of the Echo franchise. The fact they're making this series and they're introducing a team into this particular title series, you know, this one here is definitely going to be speculative. Like I said, Echo, that character was definitely damaged by the Disney Plus streaming series, so I don't know how popular this one here is going to be with fans and collectors, and I definitely don't know how popular this is going to be in the future. You know, maybe Marvel can do something spectacular with this character, get a lot more fan interest back into the character or the franchise, but you know, oftentimes when they damage a brand or a character, especially through a streaming series or a feature film, if they do damage to the character like that, typically very hard to come back from it. But like I said, if they're able to do it, this one here may be important in the future, so this one here is definitely going to be speculative. So grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. And now for the honorable mentions. From Mad Cave, Circus Maximus number 1. The most daring heist in history is set in motion by an unlikely crew who plot to rob the imperial treasury beneath the Temple of Saturn while Rome is distracted by the games of the Circus Maximus. But when Emperor Nero sets the city ablaze, escaping with their lives may be the only prize they can hope for. Now, we'll put this on the list because this here sounds like it would make a great streaming series or feature film. And you know, Mad Cave has been getting a lot more attention on their titles recently. I don't know if they've had any picked up an option already, but they've definitely been getting a lot more attention. You do hear that publisher popping up a lot more in the industry news. So this one here, definitely going to be speculative, but in my opinion, great option potential. Grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put it in your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. And finally from IDW, Tuatha number 1. In a forgotten war-ravaged realm, A young woman treks through a dying land with the severed head of her fallen king strapped to her back, braving monstrous creatures, savage raiders, and the crumbling remnants of a lost civilization to deliver him to his legendary island grave. Once again, this sounds like it would make a great TV show, streaming series, or a feature film. And you know, IDW has had a lot of their titles pick up an option in the past. I don't know how many actually made it to the screen, but like I always remind you guys, when these books are optioned, they don't actually have to make it to the screen. Just being option alone is enough to drive up the price in the secondary market. And this one here, in my opinion, sounds like it has great option potential. Definitely worth the spec. So if you can, pick this here out for a spec. So there you have the 5 titles that we have for you guys this week. Very light week, but there's definitely some books in there to pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.